let's get into a couple of these macro topics here because it's getting interesting right now. And then we'll probably touch on the election for a minute here too. So we did have last week, the U.S. jobs report came out on the 6th of September. Unemployment was at 4.2%, which was still higher than they wanted it to be. It was down from 4.3%. The markets moderately sold that off a little bit. We have that colored in a little bit more today, though, because we got, more importantly, the CPI data, which is, of course, the inflation numbers that are most likely entirely fake. They came out at 2.5%, which is what was expected, but was also hoped for. So now that we did get that number, they didn't come in overly hot or anything like that. It's pretty damn bullish, and it looks like so there's been highly anticipating a rate cut of some kind happening at this month's about to be this week's. I think it's next week, actually, the 18th. A rate cut of some sort has been expected, but now we're up to an 85% chance of it being just 25 basis points, whereas before it was about split or even in favor of 50 points, which really could have shaken the market and given us a tumultuous interim and maybe not given us that soft landing that people have been talking about. But now that we see this number come out, they have an election that they want to win. They're going to pull out all the stops they can. I think we're going to see very modest rate cuts beginning next week, which is great for the kind of nice, smoothing out of this bull market. So what do you make of these numbers coming out, Ewok? Are you expecting what the crowd is next week? Like I said, it shot up to 85% chances is what people think of the 25-point rate cut. And then how are they kind of treated going into the rest of the year? I'll pull up the rest of the FOMC meeting dates. But yeah, how do you think we look here throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, I guess I've turned, what I was originally thinking a few weeks ago. I didn't think they would cut it. I didn't think they would take the chance of doing a rate cut, only because historically we see a cut or a drop in all the markets when that happens, and I just didn't know that if they would risk it about the same time as the election was about to happen. So, if anything, if they hold it one more time, I think it would get them by that, and then then they could do what they wanted. But the more and more I hear, I do think that a 25-point cut is what's coming. I think if they're feeling more bullish, then you may get 50. But I don't see them going that far.
I don't either, and I forgot that we did check this out a couple of weeks ago. So next week on the 18th is when we'll get that meeting, and then the next one is actually the days after the election. So this will be the final FOMC before the election. The next one is actually November 6th and 7th, so literally the 2 days after the election, which is interesting. So, I think we get that.
It takes, 45 to 60 days to even play out from the cut. So the timing of it, 45 days after that would put it after the election anyway. So it's not really going to affect it. I think that's kind of what they potentially waited for, if anything, just so that you wouldn't see a big dip in the economy right before the election, because they don't want to lose on that alone, or not that alone. But I think they don't want people to decide on that and be like, crap, it's getting even worse. We got to do something, right? I think that's why they've delayed it.
It does make me wonder if they would have ever done 50, because that's the only thing that really could have affected things in the short term, I think. So, I wonder if they ever would have really done it. So I think we'll get that modest rate cut. And this is good. Again, like this inflation data, no matter how fudged it is, I'm glad that it came in this way, because it looks like we're going to get that like gradual rate cut down. We had aggressive rate hikes over the last couple of years, 50, 75 basis points throughout 2022 and 2023. So, looks like we're coming back down now. So that is going to be bullish, especially if they can just kind of gradually do it. So we then have the meeting November 7th, and then the final one of the year is December the 18th. So that's what we've got. So we'll see. I don't know if that'll mean like a 25-point cut each of the next couple of months. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming in to find out what it is they're going to do. But it is interesting to see all this data, and I'm glad that we're not having like such a huge reactionary move based on what's happening right now. So this is good. I mean, we should feel positive about this basically in all markets, I think. So